If you're planning to head to Hong Kong over the next couple of days, now may not be the best time. What began as a protest against a bill has snowballed into a movement that has dominated global headlines for the past 2 months. And today, Hong Kong's main airport became the epicenter of tensions. Holding placards and banners, airport staff members and their supporters staged a sit-in, calling for democratic reform and demanding a fair probe into incidents of violence over the last few weeks. They took over the airport's arrivals hall, aiming to reach out to tourists. Loud chants of "Free Hong Kong" have taken over one of the world's busiest airports. Though airport authorities say that the operations will not be affected, flight disruptions are feared. Passengers have been advised to arrive early. More protests are expected on Saturday. Several countries have issued travel advisories. China, meanwhile, has slammed the activists who are asking foreign consulates to issue those travel advisories, those travel alerts. Singapore was among the first to do so.
Someone you mentioned asked for foreign countries to issue travel alerts to Hong Kong. I think the essence of this behavior is very clear. It is an attempt to provoke external forces to intervene in Hong Kong affairs and to put pressure on the central government and the Special Administrative Region government. We have already said that Hong Kong is China's Hong Kong and we will never allow any foreign forces to intervene in any way. I recommend those who try to lead the wolf in the room to study the history, since when have those who have colluded with external forces to create problems for a country come to a good end?
This month began with the protesters storming the legislature building, vandalizing the structure and spray painting slogans. The demonstrations coincided with the anniversary of Hong Kong's handover from Britain to China. 5 days ago, the protesters aimed straight for the Chinese seat of power in Hong Kong, the Chinese representative office. They blackened the emblem of the Chinese government. They hurled eggs and paint bombs at this building. They threw poles at the police personnel who tried to stop them. China called it an attack on its sovereignty. Later that day, anti-government protesters were attacked at a train station by suspected gang members. 45 people were hurt. A Hong Kong journalist was beaten up live on air. Witnesses say it took more than an hour for the police to arrive at this spot. Apart from the extradition bill, police brutality and police inaction and failure to ensure public safety have been at the center of these agitations in the last week.
We want to let the people know that Hong Kong is not what used to be, and we don't want the extradition bill to happen in Hong Kong, and what the police did to the crowd and the people are not supposed to be done.
I would support the protest in terms of freedom of speech and their rights, and I believe that it's to do with extradition. So yes, I would absolutely support them. I would.
China, meanwhile, continues to condemn this, saying that it will not allow foreign forces to interfere in its domestic matters.
政府呢支持特区政府依法履职，依法采取措施维护香港的稳定与安全繁荣。前几天呢，我在这儿也强调过，香港是中国的香港，中国绝不会容许任何外国势力插手和干预香港事务。那么，对于现在有些欧美人士、外界的人士呢
Years of relative calm post the 2014 protests made China believe that Hong Kong was falling in line, but these protests have been a huge blow to that belief. For 8 weeks straight, these protests have challenged Beijing's authority over Hong Kong, embroiling the city-state in its worst political crisis. They also come at a time when Beijing has been trying to woo back Taiwan into mainland China, and emboldened by the protests in Hong Kong, Taiwan too has seen protests in support of Hong Kong. At the heart of this agitation lies a legislation called the extradition bill that would have allowed suspects to be sent to mainland China for trial. Protesters say this law violates their basic human rights. The Hong Kong administration says the bill has been suspended. The protesters say that's not enough. They want it withdrawn completely, and that's where the matter stands.